I'm going to show you how to remove a charge-off of your credit report from the original creditor. This is a strategy that I came up with years ago, and it has worked wonders for our clients of the credit repair shop. This is not any type of gimmicky type thing. This is straight up a process of using the Fair Credit Reporting Act and the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act against the original creditor when they charge off your debt and they sell it to a debt collector. First, I want to make it clear so you clearly understand when a debt is charged off, that does not mean that the original creditor cannot collect on the debt. It does not mean if they sell the debt that debt collector potentially, and I talk about that in other videos, potentially cannot collect on the debt. There is big misconception about if a original creditor charges off a debt, they're getting money from this unknown source and it's already been paid and they can't collect on it. And people expect them to send them a 1099-A form or a 1099-C form cancellation of debt. That is not true. That's a total misconception. Have a charge off and it's ruining your credit score, but the original creditor already sold the debt. You may be able to get it removed entirely off of your credit report. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to use the creditor's own documentation against them. Just in case you don't know who I am, my name is Stephen A. Williams. I'm the president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com, where we fight for your financial and credit freedom on a daily basis. You've probably heard that once a debt is charged off, you're stuck with it on your credit for 7 years. But what if that account is now being reported inaccurate? Stick around because I'm going to give you a step-by-step strategy that works, not a gimmick. This is a step-by-step strategy that actually works, and it's been tried and true, tested with my clients. A charge-off happens when a creditor writes off your account as a loss. It usually takes 180 days of non-payment, 6 months of non-payment. Some loans can charge off sooner, but if you're dealing with a credit card debt, it's going to take 6 months of non-payment and then they're going to charge off that debt. But here's what they don't tell you. Once they sell that debt to a debt collector, they often keep reporting the balance owed on your credit reports, even though they've already received payment from the sale. Now, let me stop right there. I'm going to repeat that statement. And I had went over this with some attorneys, and the first thing they did, you know how when people are thinking about something, like they're trying to recall their memory from either education or something that they've learned or something that they've heard. The attorneys, the first thing that they did is they looked up in the corner. And that's when they're trying to access all of their legal experience. So I'm going to read it again. Once they sell, the original creditor sells that debt to a debt collector, they often keep reporting the balance owed on individuals' credit reports, even though they've already received payment from the sale. To give you a little bit of a backstory on how I came up with the concept on being able to do this, and then I tested it with clients years ago, was I was thinking from how it was being reported when my clients had did settlements, how was it being reported on the credit reports? And when we did settlements with original creditors, they would report that it was settled for less. Now, here's the thing. I had noticed over a period of time from reviewing individuals' credit reports when they paid those charge-off accounts with the original creditor, that it only stated that it was paid for less. It didn't state that it was paid for less by our client. And I was like, okay, now what if when it's sold and they receive payment, all they're doing is notating on the individual's credit reports that a payment was received and it said that it was received for less. A big question mark went over my head and I was like, what if they sold the debt are they receiving payment? If they sold the debt, are they receiving payment? And should they make that note, at a minimum, make that notation on the individual's credit reports? That's when my big idea popped up, and I was like, okay, now let's challenge these original creditors directly, stating that they're showing inaccurate information on an individual's credit reports because they received payment. Remember, when they received a payment for less from our clients, they didn't notate that the client paid the debt for less. They just notated that it was paid for less. When the debt was sold to a debt collector, they just left the balance on there as if it was still a charged off balance that was owed. And that is 100% inaccurate. So even though they've already received payment from the sale of that charged off debt, that's inaccurate information, and they're in violation of the Fair Credit Reporting Act. So the smoking gun is the sale documentation that you would get from the debt collector who purchased your debt. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on how you would get that, but when you do a debt validation, they are supposed to send you, they are required to send you that information because you have no dealings with them, and they're just sending you a demand letter. And you're like, why should I pay you when I had this with this original creditor? They're going to send you a bill of sale document. There's ways that you would get that. So when the debt is sold, there's always a chain of title, a paper trail. You can request a copy of the bill of sale or assignment of the debt from the debt buyer and through your own records if you've been sued. So you might get it if you've been sued, but if you haven't been sued, they still have to get those documents and maintain those documents. So when you question them on the validity of that debt, they are supposed to give you, they have to give you that. I don't want to say they're supposed to. They have to give you that information because they have to prove how they even have the ability to come after you. So once you have that documentation, you'll notice the original creditor no longer owns the debt. The balance may have been sold for pennies on the dollar, but that does not matter. They're still reporting that you had that full amount balance on there. That is not true. All they can do at a minimum is just state that the debt or that the account was settled for less because they sold it off, or sold for less, or sold. They have to mark that on there, and then that there's no balance. That's very important. And having this information will give you leverage. So now let's go into how we're going to get this information removed off your credit report. So first thing you're going to do is you need to get the information. You need the full account information from your credit report. If you're using one of these free services, you're not going to get all that information. You need to know what it's notating in the comments section. You need to know what it's notating in the amount owed section. If you need your credit reports and scores, you can go to your3scores.com to get complete TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports. So now this is what you're going to do to remove that charge off. You're going to write a dispute letter to the bureaus, but also a dispute letter directly to the original creditor. Now, this is why it's important to get a paid monitoring service, because you're going to need the address that's connected to that furniture account. You could be with a national company, a national lending company, credit card company, but they use different regions to upload their credit profile information. You're going to need the address for the region that you live in. It will show in your credit reports. If you had the complete credit reports, there's a section in there that has the furniture information and the address that is connected to that furniture information that's placed on your credit reports. So you're going to write a dispute letter outlining everything that I just mentioned earlier to the 3 credit reporting agencies, or for each bureau that shows that charged off account, and you're going to send it directly to that furnisher, to that original creditor. Include a copy of the bill of sale document so you can show them that they accepted whatever they accepted for it, that they did accept payment, and that you know that, and that you explain to the original creditor that it is inaccurately reporting a balance that they can no longer have any claim that you have a legal obligation to pay, and that is negatively affecting you on your credit report. Now, the next thing is you want to request that they remove it or correct it under the FCRA for furnishing false data. If they don't comply within 30 days, you can escalate it. So now, once the charge-off is removed, your utilization will improve because it won't show that debt. Your delinquency record gets cleared, and your credit score will jump sometimes 50 to 100 points. So it's like removing an anchor from your credit profile that was holding you back. Now, if you need help with your credit, visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, What Makes Us Different, so you can see our 8-point validation process, our 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com to grab your TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. If you have debt collectors coming after you, I'm going to give you 2 options. If they're suing you, you can go to summonsmaster.com, where you can upload your summons in the Summons Master PDF file, and it'll create fully formatted response to every allegation in your summons and a defense to help you win your case. If you're receiving only debt collection letters and you don't want to screw it up, you can upload into summonsmaster.com your debt collection letter. It will create an exclusive certified debt validation letter that will stop debt collectors in their track. Or you can go to the link below and you can get my free pack of letters. I do ask for donation information, and you can submit those out. It has a cease and desist collection activities letter, debt validation letter, and statute of limitations letter. You can utilize those. Subscribe to the channel, post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and founder of thecreditrepairshop.com. Thank you, and you have yourself a great day.